G for G on YouTube. I am your host, Napalm Dawn, and today we are here in DC Legends. So a few people have requested that I try to tackle more DC Legends content consistently, and I would like to do that for you guys. Thank you very much for people who have continued to stick around in the year. Almost, we're 11 months since MAA has died. As I've discussed in other videos, nothing has fully taken its place yet, but there are games that kind of come close, and I want to do a video on that, but that'll have to be in September for the kind of the 1 year mark, and I'm reserving that. So if you guys are interested in what has been occupying my time since MAA has gone, maybe want to see some things that you would be interested in, or be like, hey, Napalm played that, I'm going to give that game a try, it might be good. You'll have to wait, I'm sorry, but that's just the timing that I want to do of it. I think it's really poignant and memorable and well timed if I do it at the year mark than like some weird 11 months. So today's background soundtrack is brought to you by Infinite and Ambient Mix. I recorded this video once, but for some reason there was no sound from me, just the music. My mic wasn't picking up anything until I rebooted. Very, very odd. So, let's jump right into it. I will tell you quickly, brief synopsis or TLDR. We're going to touch upon Livewire, Superman, Cyborg Superman, basically Superman's changes, and we're going to talk along those topics. I'm going to lower this just a tad. Okay, so today, by the way, for your Alliance missions, it is use Chummock Broccoli or Sinestro Yellow Lantern. Probably everybody has at least Sinestro on their team, so they should be able to generate some decent things for their alliances. I have Broccoli myself. I have all three of them, but Broccoli is a main character for me, and I was very happy to be able to use Broccoli for a PvP thing. So I did more than my usual too, and my team wasn't excuse me, a little late. My team wasn't weakened to do the PvP daily, so I'm quite thrilled about that. So the hero challenge is currently for Livewire, which looks like the Bride of Frankenstein. The hair looks like the bride, and the lightning bolt that is normally in the hair of the Bride of Frankenstein's on the chest. She's a villainess. More on that in a little moment. And when she's done, the Healy, it looks like we're getting something for the Healy suit of Lex Luthor. One of those resets every day ones. So for Livewire, you're going to get frags to unlock her and bump her up. Here is where I am right now, was number 13, and as you can see, I one-starred it. I just escaped by the skin of my teeth, and I'll discuss the team that I was using for it. It worked, barely. The big problem is I don't really have a solid healer for it, but we will take a look at that. So, when I do my teams, my 4 and 5 tend to be my PvP teams, and 2 is generally my what is needed for the challenge, or 2 is usually a specialty thing. Like if I have to use somebody for Alliance dailies, or on the Saturdays when you have all of those upgrade Alliance missions and everything, my 2 is where I tend to do it out of. So I was using Superman as a lead, Batman, Lex Luthor is a little bit of a healer, and Green Lantern. At the end of it, it was just Green Lantern and Superman, with Green Lantern using a level 1 to shield Superman, And Superman was a destructo fucking force of nature. This new Superman is really good on his level 1. He was the god that you would hope Superman would be in a game when I was using him. He was just straight up punching people out. I mean, one-shotting them. If not nearly one-shotting them. And he's only a legendary 1, and he didn't have a lot of power. Now, obviously, this is not the node that I fought. This is 2 nodes earlier, but I needed to show you the team. So, this is what I went with. Also accessible. Well, look at that. 250% bonus health and attack. That's probably why. So maybe Superman isn't that great, but for this event, he was showing up in spades. Like, Jesus Christ, he was doing a lot of fucking work. Killer Frost Part 2. That's what I call her because she looks blue and cold. But Livewire is available for it. Chemo Flash, Firestorm, Blue Beetle, Supergirl, Yuck, Cyborg Superman, Nightwing, Terra, Doomsday, Ben Affleck Batman, Bizarro, and Warsuit Lex Luthor were available. So not a lot of options for sustain and healing. Chemo would be pretty good because he could be mending himself, but he can't do anything to anybody else. Blue Beetle's one of the few mysticals that's available for this, for balance. But as you can see, it's mostly, well, at least this one was mostly greens and blues. So, actually, mysticals would be very good, because at least in this one there was no physicals. But, yeah, you can't get a lot of mysticals in there, which really sucks. I mean, actually, Blue Beetle's the only one. Shame that it's so skewed away from that. Yeah, so Lex Luthor was my little bit of support. He died. Batman was punching out people with stealth and then his grapnel kick, but he eventually got clobbered. And Superman and Hal Jordan were basically the last 2 over there, with Superman going one-on-one at the end and winning. Superman was punching people out. Hal had good enough shields that I would never really do the level 2 to re-shield him. I just kept doing level 1 to feed shields into Superman to keep him alive. And Superman's stamina was doing really, really well, and he was just punching people the fuck out. I mean, it was great. So that's who we got. Now let's actually take a look at the characters we mentioned in the beginning of the video. And what's kind of interesting is there is actually some counter to the meta things going on over here, which is interesting to see. And it's kind of getting a little bit along that MAA flare where a meta gets really, really popular and then something comes out that kind of counters it. And I believe I'm starting to see that now in DC. One thing that I will say is that I think bleeds right now are doing very well. I'm not seeing a counter to bleeds other than, say, Poison Ivy throwing bleeds on her team back at the enemy team. But bleeds do really well with powerhouses and heavy tanks like Wonder Woman Doge, WWDOJ. Bleeds just wreck her face. I totally recommend bleeds against Beetle and www.doge.com. However, when Doge has that legendary in her 4, I think it is, the one that gives her the light heal, I will straight up tell you, I don't think that heal is light. I think it's medium. Medium to high medium. I've seen it heal for thousands. Ridiculous. It's kind of obnoxious. So, here's what I've got right now. My current PvP team is Dr. P, Siren, Broccoli, and Zatanna. Zatanna's in there for the heals. Also considerable damage, buff removal. Broccoli's there for the death immunity. He provides a green. He provides a taunt if need be. A turn meter screw job over there. I like him a lot. I could probably make a case to get him out, but he's very handy. If he gets focused, he makes himself immune. If somebody else gets focused early on, he drops the death immunity on them, and then Zatanna comes in for the heal. And if need be, Dr. Poison comes in for the heal. Siren is the major damage dealer. Her bleeds wreck. Cyborg got ousted from the team, even though he's a legendary 2. It was just too much green. Dr. Poison took over because it was just too much green. It was too much energy, too much mystical. There's Doge, Poison Ivy, Killer Frost over there. Katana's a legendary. There's my Chumuk. There's my legendary Ares. Superman. So, before we get over to Livewire, since Superman's here, let's talk about him. He was the star of that node and allowed me to finish it. We have some changes to him right now. One of the biggest is his leadership. His leadership used to really enjoy other people taunting on the team, which means he worked out really, really well with www.doge.com. The problem was, who would you really want to make the leader? Supes or Doge? Hard call, because both of their leaderships were good and dealt with taunting. Now it's kind of easy, because now it says he has mine's buffed, so it's 50% right now. A 50% chance to use Kryptonian Physiology when an ally is dealt a critical hit, and Superman has no debuff. So the number one thing you want to do is you want to make sure you bring some cleaners, like Zatanna, if you do this. The other thing is you don't want to bring the crit down people. There is a lot of crit downs going on right now. Not a good job, because you're okay if somebody gets crit if it makes your Superman buffed up. He has Impervious. Superman has a 25% chance to purge one debuff from himself. I say you want to upgrade this as much as possible, because keeping Superman clean, fresh and clean, is what allows him to truly shine. Upgrade over here is damage immunity. I guess the damage immunity goes off if this proc occurs. If this 50% chance goes off with the Kryptonian Physiology, then he becomes damage immune. If you legendary this, he gains a 5% true heal. So this one tells you what the heal is rather than saying light heal or whatever. Probably solid, maybe a legendary kind of want to hold off on. Maybe you want to do I'll take the hits and Kryptonian Physiology. So this is the one that I went with. Gain 2 taunts, death immunity, 2 strengths up, only usable if he has no debuffs, and he gains turn meter. And if you go down far enough, you get a death immunity. So he could conceivably take over for my Broccoli, but the thing is, he'd only be saving himself. Broccoli can save himself or other people. So Heat Vision used to have bleeds as the upgrade for the legendary, and I always thought it didn't make sense. I mean, really tasty. 6 bleeds. People would love that. Chemo would love it. Siren would love it. Dr. Poison converts that into health with their level 2, but it didn't make sense. I never really understood how laser eye beams, heat beams, would cause the bleeds like that. As a matter of fact, it would singe bleeds and scorch them shut. But now we have a buff and heal immunity going out on the enemy. Very, very good to see that. That shuts down WW Doge. It shuts down Blue Beetle. It really turns off a lot of people. It turns off, at the lower ranks, it turns off somebody that you don't want Zatanna rescuing. Because nothing is worse than you're about ready to kill somebody and Zatanna comes in with her big heal. Heat Vision will fix that. And then Super Strength is his bread and butter. And if you legendary that, you have a chance to stun. This is worth a legendary if you have a very big call assist team. Now, never ever make the mistake in thinking that multiple times of a certain percentage means the percentage goes up. So you're like, oh, well, 25% chance to stun. If I run him with a call assist, that's 50% chance. Because no, it's always 25%. It's just over the course of a match you have a higher percentage because you're using it more frequently. But you still could have cosmically bad luck that you keep getting the 75% chance to not stun every time this goes off. So keep that in mind. I would bump this up as much as you can, especially to get to that level 4, because I think it was doing a lot of damage. Again, maybe because of the buff he got to the event, but it seemed solid. And honestly, Superman was not debuffed. And hey, even if it was just for the event, is that so wrong? Is that so wrong to talk about Superman being really, really good for a hero event if you really want Livewire, which I kind of think we all should get? So yeah, nothing wrong with talking about a buffed up Superman. It doesn't have to just be about PvP or something. Blue Beetle, he's very, very common in PvP now. The really obnoxious one is this. When people legendary his Carapace because of that 5 men's. He immediately like fucking super walls up, but then he heals behind it. And that's obnoxious, and I think that's where the heal and buff immunity from Superman come in really good. It would shut this down. It shuts down the excessive taunting from W Doge. He shows up in PvP a lot, although I'm not really too sure why. I don't think he does that well. I think people are maybe overestimating him. However, if you get his level 1 up to 15%, he wrecks my broccoli. Like, I saw a Blue Beetle just kind of like sting my broccoli to death, and he did a really good number on my Metaphil. But usually I find him annoying at best. I find him and www.doge just kind of annoying, but not a serious threat. www.doge, Wonder Woman, Defender Justice, I think is turned into this game's rescue right now. Constant obnoxious taunting, constantly getting in the way of who you want to get. Not the most output in the world, but still, you know, reasonable. And now let's talk about a few others. So we got to talk about Cyborg Superman, and we got to talk about Livewire. I'll come back to Livewire in a second. So, and I'll also talk about this stuff here in a second, the store. Cyborg Superman is energy also. Kind of looks like RuPaul's drag queen version of Superman with a bad Botox chin. Techno-Organic Arsenal. Damage to an enemy. Gain 5% shield plus 2% per buff on the enemy. Very, very good. He works really well if you're not running him with Organic Superman. Regular Superman. These two don't play nice at all. It's so opposite. It's almost like Superman and Bizarro, really. Like, you just don't want to run him with Superman. Because you don't want somebody being immune to buffs. Because then Cyborg Superman isn't gaining a buff to his damage. If the other team doesn't get buffs on them, Techno-Organic is slightly crippled. Man of Tomorrow. It's a passive. Start the battle with 10% shield, immune to critical hits, and immunity to heals. Very, very interesting. A very double-edged sword talent. He can't get crit, but he also can't get healed. I don't know for how long this actually lasts. My guess is there may be upgrades that last longer, but the not being able to heal him is scary. Disintegrating Glare. Special damage to an enemy applies 8 critical chance downs. Again, this is why I'm saying you should not run him with Organic Superman, because Organic Superman gets very protecty and I will defend you if his teammates get crit. If the enemy team can't really put out a lot of crits, your Superman is a little less effective. Not a lot, but a little. Annihilation Protocol. High damage to an enemy, cooldown -1 when Cyborg Superman has shields at the end of a hero's turn. Any hero's turn. I don't know if that only means... I don't know if they're saying any Toon's turn or any hero class people. Very key question. If this means only heroes, then obviously you want to pair them up with a lot of good guys and hope the enemy team has good guys. But if it just means anybody, then this is a really good ability. We need some clarification on this. Are they saying hero specific as compared to hero or villain? Or are they just saying anybody in the game? And Treacherous Manipulator, Team Leader, gain 2% shield when a teammate does damage on their turn. So, if you're not running a lot of buffers, or healers, or a lot of support, and mostly everybody's just... Like, Dr. P would be good for this, because Dr. P is mostly about damage with an emergency heal that's buffed by bleeds. Zatanna, yeah, you know, pretty solid. She's got a long enough cooldown on her heals. But, like, if you AoE, I don't know if the chance for this goes up if you AoE. Like, oh, you hit 4 people, so that's a chance on 1, 2, 3, and 4. Or, well, you did damage, so it's just a flat chance. There's a lot of math and probability stuff with Cyborg Superman I think we need answered. So if anybody has those answers, please mention it in the comments over here. So, who is he going to work well with? Well, he likes S.H.I.E.L.D., so obviously Green Lantern's going to be pretty good. Intelligence up. So, Dr. Fate, he's very big on intelligence. I used to run him as an experiment with Firestorm. The reason being is because Blessing of Nabu does shields and intelligence, so Livewire likes him. Anybody who likes shields likes him because this is an AoE, and you can bump up the shields. The only really sad thing is, he's almost good with Ares, but then he falls short with Ares. So Ares, as you know, can enrage your own team. If you look at his passive here, 50% chance to deal light special damage to all enemies if Dr. Fate gains a debuff. You could force this out of Dr. Fate from Ares, except the only thing Ares does to him is enrage him, but he's immune to stun, silence, and enrages. So, you've sort of limited the debuffs that he can take, and your own team really is not capable of debuffing him now. He'd have to take, like, a bleed from the enemy team, or a strength down, a crit down, you know, one of those. But it would have been an amazing wombo combo if Ares could have enraged him and procced adversary, but sadly Indomitable Spirit gets in the way. I like that because that's the kind of shit I would have thought of in Marvel Avengers Alliance, like Ares forcing that out of him, but now he's protected against it. So, alright, let's look at Livewire, and then we'll wrap it up with a trip to the store. So here's Livewire, Frankenstein's wife, comes in as Energy, Gigawatt. So before we talk about the abilities, a lot of people right now are liking Livewire the way they did not like Terra, and truly believe she will show up in PvP, especially on speed teams. So you may really want to consider going ham on Livewire and trying your best to get her, because I'm reading a lot of people being excited for her, and I did not see that with Terra. So, deal special damage to an enemy, plus 2 damage for each intelligence up on Livewire. And you get buffs to the damage and buffs to the intelligence up. 40% chance to hit an additional random enemy. Here's how she gains intelligence. The other thing you could do is run her with WW Doge and Poison Ivy, and have Poison Ivy copy Doge's intelligence ups to her further upping her intelligence up possibilities. She purges 2 buffs from Livewire at Legendary. Lightning Storm, special damage to an enemy, purge all intelligence ups on her, 10% chance to strike a second enemy per intelligence purged. So she has 5 intelligences, she has a 50% chance to hit a second enemy. And eventually at level 6, she can maybe get it up to a third. Upgrade that for every 2 intelligence up purged from Livewire, gain an evasion up. So if you had 5, you would gain 2 evasions up. Static Shock. If 2 or more allies take damage from a single attack, 30% chance to use Gigawatt and apply a speed down. So she runs counter to AoE. Living Lightning. Start each battle with 3 evasion ups. 1 evasion up is purged each time Livewire has a turn. Gain 5 to 25% turn meter if she evades. So she loves being evasive, but it's tough to give her evasion herself. You actually have to legendary her to do it. What legendary should be your first one? I don't know what Static Shock and Living Lightning will give until she's leveled up, but of these, I would say by default Lightning Storm, but if you're potentially running her with a team that feeds her a lot of intelligence up, this could be the first one to just do extra damage. So let's wrap it up with what's in the store, and we will discuss if anything in there is really worth it. I have to say right now, the store is greedy as shit, because everything in here looks great. First of all, you can outright blast your Livewire into the stratosphere for $100. Kind of ridiculous, but 100 hero fragments for 8k. Kind of standard. Might be able to legendary her from where I am now, not too sure. 90 hero fragments for Superman, very tempting. However, this would not legendary to him for me. I mean, it would get me up to 106. Close, but no cigar. Cyborg Superman get 90. That would be pretty solid. I mean, it would definitely be an unlock. However, look at this over here. So for 15, so if we add these two together, obviously it's 14.4. For 15, we're getting 125 of both. So that unlocks a legendary Cyborg, and then that second legendary's my Superman with a little left over. Very tempting. So, I mean, I'm potentially looking at 15k, 8k. I mean, I'm looking at, if I wanted everything here, 23k, which is a lot. Then we have Bat Family, which is 50 of each. So that would unlock Batgirl for me. That would legendary Robin for me by 1. And it would also bump up Catwoman a little bit. I don't use Catwoman too much. I don't know if Batgirl's worth it, but Robin is a legendary, might be cool. And then we have Last Chance for Nightwing, who I don't have, 25 to 50 hero fragments. So obviously 2 purchases of this would guarantee it, because the lowest of 25, 25, 50 would unlock. Could get lucky and buy 1 and unlock him right away. So, lots of stuff I could throw gems at. So, if I'm at 8, and, let's say I wanted Livewire and the Super Brawl, I'd have to get 23, which basically would be $100. If I wanted everything right now in the store and just wanted to go ham, I'd have to get the $100 crate. Wow. Crate of Essence Gem coming in at 12, so if you got that, unfortunately you would not get Super Brawl, you'd still be a little short. So if you had no gems, you'd have to do a 12. at a 4.6. So $50, $20, $70 just to get Super Brawl. With a little left over. Now, if you were to do the two Supermans at 14.4, you could go with the 12. And yeah, I can't even do it with Pocket. Because that'd be 14.2. If you just had a little bit of gems, you could get away with 50 and 10, 60. But yeah, lots of fancy, expensive stuff in the store right now. And I hate the way how they say become legendary and it says 10,000 to this. That's not, you can't become legendary off that. It helps, but it's not like you can. That's kind of misrepresentation there. So in my first video I did a mega arena pack and I pulled not Bane, which is what I predicted. I pulled this green arrow, 16. So there you go, guys. That's the video for now. We talked about Livewire, we talked about Organic Superman, Cyborg Superman, and what's in the store, and of course the Livewire event. So if you guys have any idea of what's going on with Cyborg Superman's chances, like when it says hero, does that mean anybody, or is it only specifically hero classes? So if you know any of the answers to what I asked, certainly let us all know down in the description. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys soon. Peace out.